Hey, it's Lola here with thesmokingprofit.com. Let's try this the last time. So I was just live streaming from inside my building. However, my service is really bad in there. So it told me that my connection was low and I got off. So I'm on here now on my Facebook Live. Grace and peace, P-O-G-G-G-G. Grace and peace to all of you all that are coming in. If my connection gets bad, please give me some kind of signal, thumbs down or something to let me know, and keep me posted because I don't want to be on talking to you and it's bad. So yeah, I was just on, service is bad, so now I'm out of my car and I'm going to try to run through this really quickly because I got a lot of stuff to do today. Sorry I wasn't on at the expected time that I gave you earlier. I couldn't get away from my desk at work, but I'm on now. So let me just tell you what I'm doing. I'm giving you my video response to my question of the week. So I've been doing questions of the week lately, and I don't always give a response. You can find them on my Instagram account. Just search for @thesmokingprofit. But usually I'll put them up, and I like to see what other people are thinking. Because I believe in community over competition and that we all do better when we're together. So I love the community that God is allowing me to see come forth through my stuff, and I love you all's insights. So I put them out there so that I can get it. Sometimes I'll do a video response. I did it last week and I'm doing it again this week. I see a lot of you all going in and out. So if my service is not good, please give me like a thumbs down or say something, type something in the comment box, excuse me, to let me know that my service is bad, because I need to know, okay? Yep, I need to know. Let me put that here. Comment if my service is bad. All right. So yeah, please comment and let me know if my service is bad. But anyways, I'm doing these questions of the week to see what you all think and also give you insight into my thoughts. And the question of the week this week, and I'm actually doing this video response to, is who would you be without fears? Grace and peace, Diane. Thank you. Love you to the moon and back. I was actually just thinking about you yesterday evening and how beautiful you are and how beautiful your family is that you have, and praying for you guys. So yeah, good to see you on here. But who would you be if you had no fears? Who would you be without any fears? And that question actually came, thank you, Clint, I appreciate you for letting me know that the service is good. But that question actually came from Dr. Matthew Stevenson. I was listening to one of his videos, and this may have been in like his affirmation or identity series, and he kind of threw that question out there, or it may have been in something different. I'll go back and look at my notes and find it and try to post it with this video. But that question was so dope. It's like, who would you be if you had no fears? And like, I really thought about that. I shared it with someone else and we kind of talked about it, and we want to get to the point of where we can be those people every day. I'm someone who struggled with fear a lot, and I had to overcome fear. It was not the most fun thing to do at the time, but it was fun being able to get over it. And it's fun every day when I can constantly walk through my fears and get over my fears, using my experiences, the things that I've learned from dealing with it, and applying it to fears that come in the future, because who else like me from time to time gets scared a little bit, right? And fear is something that we don't want to deal with. Fear causes you, first of all, fear makes bad decisions. I just want you guys to get that in your mind. Fear makes bad decisions. Don't let yourself be ruled by fear, because it makes bad decisions. And fear causes you to mismanage your resources. So not only does fear make really poor decisions, what is an example of that? It can be with love. You know, if you've been hurt by people, if you've been put off or kind of cast aside, rejected by people, fear can cause you to guard yourself in a very unhealthy way, so that when good people come along, like good friends or potential romantic partners, life partners, when they come along, it's like you're living within the limits of your fear, and you're not allowing yourself to experience the goodness that can come from those relationships. So that's one way that fear makes bad decisions. Fear can make bad decisions for you at your job. If an opportunity comes up and it's time for you to maybe leave the company you've been working at for a while, or hey, if an opportunity comes up, grace and peace, Melita, and it's time for you to switch into a new role, but you're scared and you're like, I kind of am comfortable where I am. Fear, just a side note here, fear will show up a lot of times as complacency, and it tries to hide behind comfort. And there's a proverb, it's Proverbs 1:32. It says that that basically complacency will kill you. It will destroy you, is basically my little, what is the word that I'm looking for? Interpretation, or my paraphrase of what that proverb says, but it will destroy you. So fear sometimes shows up behind comfort. It shows up in the form of complacency, and it will cause you to live your not so best life. And all of us want to live our best lives, right? So it'll cause you to not maybe take opportunities you need to take. Fear will cause you to miss out on romantic opportunities, or even relationships that you could have with good people if you've been hurt a lot. If it comes down to you choosing an educational decision, like what should I go to school for? I'm thinking about returning and getting some certifications or getting some sort of degree or whatever. Fear can make you think, well, oh, I don't have enough money to do this, or I don't have enough time to do this, or that nobody else is doing this. That's probably not a great choice. No, fear will cause you to make bad decisions. Fear will cause you to mismanage your resources. So something that you have present in front of you, or maybe an idea that you get. Back in at the end of last year, in November of 2017, I created a graphic, and the graphic said that God is sending money in the form of ideas. And I'm going to talk about that soon, because the Lord kind of like convicted me, which is what he does, which is basically like, hey, I told you something, you're not responding to it, I need for you to respond and do this, align with me, partner with me on what I've told you. This is what God tells us so often. But God is sending money in the form of ideas, but it's like, if you're scared of that idea when it comes, what are you going to do with it? You know, fear will cause you to mismanage the idea that God is giving you so that you can make money and live your best life. And it's not even about making bukus of money. It's just about being successful in your own right and living up to the life that God has for you is really what it's about. So yeah. We're going to dig all into this today. So why is it important for us to think about who we would be if we had no fears? Because we want to deal with getting fear out of the way. And then we know that fear is not going to ever be completely eradicated from our lives, because situations will come up and you may get a little bit scared over it. But the beautiful thing about experience, and once you've overcome one thing, once you've overcome fear on one level, you can take those principles, grace and peace, Adrian Rump, grace and peace, Ardell. You can take the things that you've learned from your experience and even other people's experience, and you can apply it to the next thing. And the next time you have to deal with fear, you can apply it to future fears, okay? So that's what we're going to deal with. And let's go ahead and get right into it. If you all haven't signed up for my text list, I want you to do that. I send out free resources, hacks, and hope directly to your phone. And who could use some hope? Me, all the time. But text the word BLAZE, BLAZE, to the number 31996 and get joined up with the Smoking Prophet community there. So I want to share a really quick story about how fear makes bad decisions. So back in the 70s, there was someone who worked for Kodak, Steven Sasson, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Could be saying it wrong. But anyways, he invented the digital camera. And he brought this information before his bosses. He brought it before the execs at Kodak. And they told him, you know, wow, this, you can keep working on this, but we want you to kind of push this to the side. And this is the reason why they told him that. And let me just read this here. It posed a threat to like their dominant revenue source. And this comes from Business Insider. And this, this comes from Business Insider. This article was written by Nathan McAlone, and it writes that Kodak's marketing department, however, resisted it. And it's talking about, is when the inventor brought his findings about the digital camera to them. They resisted it, according to the Times. Sasson was told they could sell the camera, but that they wouldn't. They could sell it, but that they wouldn't. Why? For fear. It uses the exact words fear. For fear it would cannibalize film sales. Blessings to you, Nene Nicole. For fear that it would cannibalize film sales. What does all of that mean? They were scared to introduce the digital camera to the market, even though they had the rights on it first. They were scared to do this because they feared that it was going to cut into what they were currently doing. At the time, Kodak made money off of every step of the photography business. Why give that up? So, case in point, fear makes bad decisions. And it makes bad decisions for us on so many levels. So it can not only impact your personal life, it can impact the corporation's life. And it impacted Kodak. Where do you see Kodak at now? I remember growing up as a kid, like, disposable cameras were the move. Like, you had your little disposable camera, you take pictures of your friends, family vacations, whatever, and you go and get that stuff developed. Bada boom, bada bing. Digital cameras didn't exist at that point, so they had a market there, but they were scared to enterprise on it. They were scared to make the most of it because they feared what it would do to what they currently had. Fear causes you to mismanage your resources. Kodak had a disruptive innovator in their midst, and all of us are disruptive in some way. You know, you think of the word disruptive and it's like, oh, that's bad, you out here like doing bad stuff. But no, you can be disruptive with your ideas. Something that I have told you guys recently, if you go to my YouTube channel, Lola, you can find a video on there called Do Your Different. Like, do your different. Your idea that's disruptive can just be different to other people because they're not doing it. But he was a disruptive innovator. He was one that came up with something that nobody else was doing. He had the tenacity to do this. And when he brought it to his bosses, like, they were scared of it. They could have used this to transform their business. They could have transitioned their business before times, and who knows where they would be. And they had time on their side. Kodak had over a decade to prepare for the transition, but they failed to partner with transition. They failed to partner with change. Instead, they partnered with fear and became its casualty. So what are we talking about here today? Who would you be if you had no fears? Right now, we're on the point of why this is important. Number one, fear makes bad decisions, which we've just seen. And when you make a decision out of fear, you're partnering with fear and you're going to become a casualty of it. Everybody knows what a casualty is, a victim. You're going to become a victim of fear because fear restricts you. Fear causes you to live within its boundaries and within its limitations, and you don't want to do that, okay? You have so much more there than to live behind a fear, okay? So fear causes you to mismanage your resources. Kodak mismanaged their resources, and it jacked them up. Now, they didn't do all the way bad. The company continued funding the projects, pending the digital shifts that all of us have seen with the evolution of, technology and us having access to digital phones, digital cameras through our cell phones. Like, we have our phones that can record really high quality videos and film and all of that stuff. So they actually made billions off of the patent because they had invented it up until 2007. So they made a lot of money, but they could have made more. And they appeared to be on the cusp of the online photo sharing wave, but sadly they never made it past the curve. They never made it past the curve because they had people in place that were fearful, and fear makes bad decisions, and fear causes you to mismanage your resources. They didn't do poorly. They didn't fail because they lacked creativity or the resources. They didn't fail because they didn't have money or influence. They had money and influence. They had the idea. They had the invention. Fear disabled them. It disabled their ability to see the future and what it could have been. Fear does that too. Fear disables your ability to see the future, and it puts something else in front of you that you're so scared of you can't move past it. But you got to get past what you think you see and ask God to show you the future. You know what I'm saying? Ask God to show you what's waiting behind those fears that you have, okay? So, risk failure and change the world. Risk fear and change the world, because that's often what fear is masking, right? We're really scared to fail, but you got to be okay with failing. You got to be okay with, I might not get this right the first time. It is so paralyzing. Diane Wilkerson Cunningham, follow her, that's my family. Grace and Peace, Stephen Santana Stewart, thanks for coming on, that's my family too. But Diane just said fear is so paralyzing. Fear will physically paralyze you. And it will immobilize your mind too. It impacts us in so many places, spirit, soul, and body. There have been moments where I've been so paralyzed with fear, I couldn't move, I couldn't move. And maybe I'll share some of those situations with you all later, but fear will literally freeze you, physically freeze you. And then it freezes you here. So risk failure, change the world. As I was saying, a lot of times we're afraid to fail, and that's the reason we get locked inside of living within the limitations of fear. You may fail. You may not get it right the first time. It's okay. You failing can actually build confidence in you. And if you don't believe me, I did a video. It's on my YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search at Lola Cabaya, LOLA-CABAYA, and search the video, I Failed. Here's what I learned. And it's a short video. I give you some information on that. So just to close, again, I'm asking you, who would you be if you had no fears? Really, really begin to think about that. And again, I got this quote from Dr. Matthew Stevenson from a video I was watching. But who would you be if you had no fears? Thank you, Diane. Who would you be if you had no fears? Who is the person that you would be if you had no fears? Ask God to show you who that is. And then begin to pursue that. Dream it. Pursue it. Live it. You can have it. He doesn't want you to be fearful. I shared earlier that God is sending money in the form of ideas. I first got that statement back, I think it was in October, and I did a video on God being a God of justice and how he was going to come and repay us for everything that we've gone through, and anything that may have been taken from us. But that's on YouTube too. But God is sending money in the form of ideas. And I shared it in a graphic in November of 2017. And it's like, if God gives you an idea, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to be scared to respond to it? God hasn't given us as much as he wants to. Grace and peace, Siobhan. It's because we're not responsible with it when he gives it to us. He even had to get me the other day. When you first came on, you heard me talking about conviction. I'm going to do a video on what he convicted me about shortly, probably sometime this week. But he convicted me, and that's basically where he showed me, hey, you're not aligning with me in this area. And it was with some ideas he had given me, to help fund the vision that he's given me for the Smoking Prophet community and everything that he wants me to do and that I want to do, because I have a passion for just helping people to see their best life. You know what I'm saying? Helping people to get there. I have a passion for helping to see people's hope restored, because I've been in a place where I've been so hopeless, and where I haven't seen my life changing. So I have a passion for that. I have a passion for pulling people together, because I believe in community over competition. I have a passion for all these things. So it's like God was convicting me. Like, I've given you these ideas to fund this stuff, these things that I'm giving you, but you're not rolling with it. And he convicted me to say, hey, you're not aligning with me in this area. That's all he was saying. You're not aligning with me in this area. And he did it to say, you have not been responsible, and I need for you to be responsible with what I've given you so that I can give you some more. And God is saying that to some of us now. Like, I need for you to begin to move. But fear holds us back. Fear makes bad decisions, because sometimes we'll think, I'm hearing this, that, I don't have all the answers. I don't have it all together. Man, put what you got together. You know what I'm saying? Put what you got together and just begin to go. I remember when the Lord first told me to create a blog. He told me to create the smokingprophet.com. Now, I had no technical experience at all, but he told me to do it. So I started looking up online how I was going to do it and stuff, and I created my website. I'm still doing all the work on my website now, and eventually I will not be doing all of that once I listen to the Lord and align with him in the area that he told me to about responding to some of these ideas he's given me. Then I won't have to do all of that. But yeah, I went out and did it. I didn't have all the answers. God didn't tell me to do it because he knew I would have all the answers. God gives us things because of our faithfulness towards it. Just like the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. In this story, Jesus tells a story about how a man gave out. You can look at him as like an employer. So this boss of this company gave like 3 of his employees 3 different things. He gave them some money, but he gave them each different amounts. The first one went out and flipped his, was able to acquire more. The second one went out, flipped his, was able to acquire more. And the third one went out and didn't flip his. He dug a hole and put it in the ground. And the scripture talks about how he told his boss, because we're going to call him a boss today, he told his boss that I feared you were a hard man. So his fear caused him to do something foolish. His fear caused him to mismanage his resources, and he hid it in the ground. And the boss was like, man, why didn't you at least take this to the bank? You could have gotten some interest off of this. But his response was, out of fear, I did this. So we don't have to have all the answers. You just got to be able to respond and be able to be responsible and not allow fear to cause you to mismanage your resources, not allow fear to make your decisions, because fear makes bad decisions. I'm going to leave you with this. What you fear could change the world. This idea that Steven Sasson had, that he gave to Kodak, it has changed our world. We're using digital technology every day. I'm using that to broadcast to you right now. This happened in the 70s, like when this man invented this technology. I was not even born then. It's being used right now. So what you fear could change the world. So think about this. Who would you be without fears? Who would you be without any fears? Think about that person. God, who would I be without any fears? And then make a commitment to pursue that, and make a commitment to live that. Diane Wilkerson Cunningham said, we're never ever going to have all the answers. If we did, faith wouldn't have any relevance. And I agree with that. We're never going to have all the answers. But guess what? He's willing to give them to us. I want you guys to read Proverbs chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. And this is your answer to your fear. This is your response to your fear. When fear says you don't have all the answers, or when fear says you might fail and you might get that wrong, it says, my child, will you treasure my wisdom? Then and only then will you acquire it. So wisdom is the answer to all of these things. But we have to value wisdom. We have to treasure wisdom. We have to esteem wisdom higher than other things in our lives. Begin to ask God for wisdom. Like,